played 2 matchups against their opponents. So no more time for excuses. It's time to put the pedal to the metal and grind your way through.
Pedal to the metal indeed, as we head into the first of 4 best of 3s here tonight. OEG playing against Downpayment, 2 teams here in, I believe it is Group B. Let me just double check. Yep. Oh,
that's right.
Yep, we are in Group B to open things up here. OEG coming in 1-1. Downpayment, this is only their second best of 3, so they are still looking for that first win. But to be fair, this is only their second match.
Yeah, they're still, unfortunately, looking for a bit of that dub. Both these teams, have come from the OQ, have come and pulled together a series of different players from other teams. OEG side from the likes of O2 Blast, from LMTR, Marvel Vietnam, and Downpayment. I mean, the mishmash is even more spectacular, pulling teams from the land down under, right? Vicious, Kanga, Ground Zero, teams very, very household for the Australia and New Zealand region, and they really, really want to be able to pull themselves together as a cohesive group and play as the star roster as we see them.
Yep, and no better way to start it here in Hell's Haven, the domination map that will open things up for the night. If you are also joining us for the first time ever, this is how the map rotation will work. First map always will be domination. The type of map, or the type of domination map, I should say, is always going to be random. From Hell's Haven, Burning T'Challa, Krakoa, you name it, every domination map will be in the pool, and the random number generating gods will decide which one you will be playing on. But after that, there's a bit of control. The losing team will be able to decide where they go for map number 2, as well as selecting which side to go first. But enough of that as we finish things off here in the picks and bans.
Yeah, Downpayment, looking like they really want to work on the duelist roster for OEG, already banning out the Psylocke and the Human Torch for themselves, and able to steal away. Captain America is OEG, so they'll have the leader of the free world right there alongside with them.
Yeah, and as I'm a little bit surprised as to the duelist bans coming in, because the duelist pool is just so wide. You have so many variety of heroes that you can choose from. So limiting that giant pool, it's kind of like getting a cup and then just scooping stuff out of the pool. So you're contributing into limiting the amount of options that they have, but I feel like the outcome is a little bit minimal when you compare it to, let's say, banning a key Vanguard, banning out a key strategist. So we'll see what the approach comes in.
I can see what you're thinking, Dan, and I have a counterpoint, right? On domination, the thing about domination is that if you group up if you play the likes of, say, Psylocke, right? I think it's easy to get picks if you're all spread out and playing loosey-goosey, which you want to be able to do around a domination match. If you crowd around too much, especially if your side is running the Phoenix that you see, those sparks transfer is way too powerful. So to be able to take out perhaps a Psylocke or a Human Torch that can do these targeted assassinations on backlines, I think might be quite important.
See how these options translate into the match, as we see OEG facing Downpayment, and they will find each other head on for the first time in this best of 3. But it does look like Downpayment having the high ground advantage for the time being, but they're all scaling down onto the site, because that is the main important part, as both teams now stepping forth, using the lamps, using the resources that they have available, as the CC from Fun takes out Vilvex and will open up the bank for Downpayment.
That high ground advantage, so crucial for Downpayment. Furakake with the Loki just providing so much value. Uni will find heal, as well as Fab is out of action. 6 collecting names. Once again, we see the power of the Phoenix. Both sides have it. When you grouped up, those sparks transfer. And that's where it is your team facing against the demise of the Phoenix.
Yeah, the man from Botswana picking up the multi-frags, the multi-knockouts to secure themselves the site, already pulling it up to 30%. Can OEG stop the bleeding? Can they stop this advantage in favor of Downpayment? Only time will tell. Midstar is threatening the Rage of Ultron, but Downpayment have responses for themselves as well.
There it is, Rage comes out, but there's a lot that Downpayment can counter with it, trying to spread along, especially because it's going to be Midstar immediately annihilated now with the Reacher F. In this guy, the combo
there it is!
With the Eternal and Inferno. Donald responds beautifully as well. Lumi around the corner will get the Karmic Revival, but both Looking's just pressing the issue. Look at the space that Downpayment want to take away from OEG Sports.
We don't cover this very often. The synergy, the coordination from Downpayment, the Endsong Inferno chunking multiple members of OEG down low, and then at 6 is just the man to set up Donald for the dunk, the Dwayne Wade for the LeBron, as they do set up the alley-oop play. But now OEG, time is running low here in round number 1. 10 seconds left minimum. As Fate of Both Worlds is available for Sui. And the signal will be now. Here comes the push for OEG. The retake needs to be absolutely perfect here. And it looks like they're doing very, very well at that. All the ultimates, all the resources being used here. But there's a response for Downpayment. Look at all the ultimates. 4 ultimates already. Sparks ablaze, firing away. And Downpayment will stand tall here in this fight.
Lumi already had the Karmic Revival online mere seconds, maybe a minute after the first one, and that was the way back in, just pouring back with the momentum, pouring back with all the ultimates that they had in their pocket to pull out and push off OEG.
Great plays coming in from Downpayment off the rip. Only their second match, and they looked like a well-oiled machine, especially with that Meteor M Inferno combo that they were able to pull off onto 2. And that is just the separation between, like we say, the good teams and the best teams here at stage 2. And Downpayment are looking to make this entire group be a lot more competitive.
I mean, to be fair, I felt like the first time we saw Downpayment play, they weren't as cohesive, you know? They were a bit fragmented in terms of their positioning and their ultimate abilities and usage. But hey, they're looking a lot better now. They've had some time to regroup. They've had some time to converge around, okay, who is really taking charge? Which character, which player is leading momentum? And how do we follow our in-game shots? And that's precisely what we're seeing from some of the, the action on the first point. Now on to the second we go. Downpayment, look at the group finesse, just wanting to take this mid space away from OEG, forcing them onto the site while they take the high ground for themselves.
Yeah, but do you really want to stay on the high ground, or do you want to take control of the site? That's going to be a bit of a dilemma that they want to look for as a big jump from Donald. We'll draw first blood here in round number 2 onto Midstar. And that's going to be a man advantage in favor of Downpayment as they look to wipe out more of the members, try to stagger them, and just buy enough time for Downpayment as they try to look for ways to get in. But it looks like OEG are just going to get shut out from the site.
Now Lumi will pop the cocoon, so no harm, no foul there from Little Vex as they try to make their way in, inch by inch, row by row. On the side of OEG, they do have a lot of ultimates. We've got the Invisible Boundary plus Fat may start off with the Silent Seduction to really separate Downpayment, who's been playing like an absolute hive mind, a group of 6 all together as one.
Yeah, look at all these ultimates starting to charge up here, right? It's going to be a huge domino effect happening. It's a matter of when the first person presses their Q button, but it looks like OEG might have to wait a bit longer as Volvex gets picked away. Heal dangerously low, but is able to escape. But Downpayment, they don't want you to go back to spawn. They want you to absolutely lay down on the floor as OEG have to respond with their own ultimates. albeit right in front of their spawn.
I mean, honestly, Downpayment didn't need to pop the Fate of both worlds. They could have saved it, but they have so many outs that they might as well. Now, it's going to be the Phoenix coming in. Doesn't quite find the mark, but Sparks galore. Subi just holds their ground for the rest of OEG. They'll still have to back up. Look at his choke point. It's being cornered by two faces for Downpayment. Donald's out of action. Mixar finds an opening. Littleverse falls off suit. But Lumi's online. Lumi's got a counter revival. Once again, the momentum shifts back into Downpayment's favor. They're not quite out of the action just yet.
Just when you think OEG see an advantage, they see the multi-knockout, Downpayment is just right there. Lumi perfectly timed with the Karmic Revival, and OEG just felt like they had no grip, no traction, no way in, as OEG are just gonna get shut out by Downpayment. And this was one of the more commanding map ones we've seen in this tournament.
Hello? Is this 911? I have to report a crime because I'm pretty sure I saw a team absolutely bully their opponent. I mean, walking all the way to their spawn door? That, I am speechless.
Yeah, we don't see that very often. The Downpayment just they had options to just back away, give them space, let them regroup, but no, that's not what Downpayment wants you to do. They don't want you to be organized. They don't want you to be coordinated. They want you to be as staggered, as hectic as possible. And that chaos provided by Downpayment was just enough to just shut out OEG on both rounds.
What an absolute different beast that we saw. You know, between the first time that we saw Downpayment against Gen G, yes, you're against one of the best ones, but I expect, you know, you to be able to put up a bit of a fight. I felt they were a bit of a, like scrambled eggs. It's such a different view here on this domination match, right? The flow of all 6 members, Downpayment moving in synchronous, as you can tell here. They're taking the high ground advantage, flowing onto the site together, getting easy picks as a collective target acquisition system. It is flowing like water, like honey for all these players.
Yeah, could say they're in a bit of a flow state, just going in, playing together. And we talked about it, the alley-oop play back in round number 1 with the Phoenix and Song Inferno, with the Meteor M to finish things off. And just that synergy alone, it was kind of the tipping point for this entire map 1, and Downpayment, a well-deserved win here.
Indeed, a well-deserved win. I mean, beautiful stuff from all these players. You know, at some point in time on point number 2, I believe every single player on the side of Downpayment had their ultimate. They had point control. They pushed out of it into, you know, the territories of OEG, and you know, they were like, hey, might as well let one more strategist out, let her rip, right? We don't need to hold on to so many. We have so many responses, and he just kept pushing in the momentum. You know, we saw Midstar have to pull up the Kraken Impact just to be able to buy a little bit more space, but it wasn't that effective. You know, there's only so much you can do when OEG were just being picked and pried apart like pulled pork, and it just unfortunately could not find a way in.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to give OEG a bit of a breather as we do take a short break. We will come back for map number 2, which is where we hope to see OEG start to find a little bit of ground, or will Downpayment keep that train going? We'll be back and we'll find out soon after.
Downpayment looking to cash in towards their first dub here in Group B, with little, you know, left-right hooks around the corner, little combo wombos from some of these teams, and they're looking fiery today, having to pick up some of the learnings from their past L, and hopefully wanting to convert it to a dub today.
Yeah, Downpayment just providing unrelenting aggression we saw in map number 1. They were all at one point in OEG's spawn, or at least right in front of it. And now the question comes to OEG, what do they pick here? What do they go for? And it looks like Spider Islands is the choice for OEG. And if you remember back in day number 1, the last time a team picked up Spider Islands, to say the least, it didn't go very well.
Yeah. You know, we saw Spider Islands as early as the second series of day one between sorry, the first
The
series
first.
of the day one between Crazy Raccoons and Incipients, and I think Crazy Raccoons did an impeccable defense, stalling the cart just a mere 22 meters away from the spawn door, and so you know it will be the first time that we come back to the Spider Islands that it has been chosen by OEG. They will be defending first, being reactive to whatever down payment wants to throw in their faces. So far, it has been a lot.
I wouldn't be surprised if down payment come in swinging here, but OEG, like we said, on the defensive side first, and most of the times when we see teams on the defensive side in these convoy, in these convergence kind of maps, they really like to go for the triple vanguard, triple strategist, the 303 or the triple, like the way you like to call it.
Triple.
But that is the current meta here that is forming here in Stage 2, at least on these convoy maps.
Yeah, and you know, we've kind of spoke at length as to down payment. We've got a mix and match of people from 5 different countries all coming together, and it finally seems like the synergy is starting to click, you know? Star players from 3 different continents around the world, and it takes, you know, a bit of a loss as a wake-up call. That's honestly so important. But now they're in the ring, and they want to play in this octagon that's high up in the sky. Spider Islands, the convoy map of choice. We head straight into the picks and bans.
Yeah, like you say, high in the sky. There's a lot of verticality here, especially in Spider Islands. You've got a lot of buildings. You've got a lot of ways to find that high ground advantage. We're going to see if OEG or down payment adapt to that in their favor. And so far, these bans and these picks have been looking like the same as map number 1, with the Captain America hover, with the torch ban on the side of down payment as well.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Captain America has been so key in so many lineups. I'm thinking, you know, perhaps Donald has run their rounds with the Captain America, so OEG want none of that. Down payment will go ahead to once again ban out the Human Torch. I feel like, you know, verticality, like you call it, so important. It's a place of flyers, that Spider Islands. There's a lot of rooftop access. And actually, you don't necessarily need flyers to even get up there. The likes of Hela with, you know, some bird action, or even Psylocke able to dash up onto the high ground, those will provide a lot of perch points, a lot of intel gathering, and a lot of sneaky plays around the back for some, you know, interesting flanks and hopefully assassinations.
Yeah, and backline access is also a lot easier here, right? These kinds of maps, the convoys and the convergence maps, when you compare it to domination, we say this every time, you've got a lot more surface area. You got a lot more map to work with for these convoy and convergence maps. So heroes that really like to get backline access, like the Magic, we've been starting to see a lot more. Sometimes a Black Panther as well, which is what Crazy Raccoon did pull off in their opening match. Not only just to do damage, get a few knockouts, maybe all they wanted to do is create space, and maybe some of these teams could use that as an approach if they just want to get the cart going.
Yeah, you know, OEG actually banned out Phoenix, right? A very targeted ban against 6, who went absolutely ham in that previous domination match, and that'll be quite interesting. You know, you're really seeing them pull up the Botswanian, making numbers as the in-house duelists, and on the other side, down payment with the targeted ban of the Magneto. I think that's more of a survivability of their back-end strategist ults. You know, you want to be able to run for Rakake on the C and D, and when you have that, I mean, the entire map's under your control. You can nicely heal everyone up and sustain the aggression.
Yeah, Fruity Kakai on the Cloak and Dagger, like you said. This Cloak and Dagger pick is very, very strong here, especially since this kind of map has a lot of lanes, there's a lot of entry points, and you want to get into those points as easily as possible. As down payment look to open things up with their turn on the offensive. We'll see if they'll push beyond 22 meters.
Yeah, I mean, it's still the triple that we're seeing from OEG Esports, and we're gonna stop running off onto Bobo King. Storms ain't got nothing on the Groot at the moment. So much sustain coming from OEG's strategist line, right? Look, just hovering around this little Japanese wall, able to provide the healing to the vanguards down below. Downpayment having to go back and do a bit of a regroup.
We have slight regroup as Bobo King does get picked off as OEG in a great position for the time being. Downpayment inch forward to 16 meters, but how much longer can they push? Here we go. There's the trade of ultimates. Invisible boundary for Eternal Bond as everyone's ultimates starting to come up online. Fab getting dangerously low, but is getting supported by the team. But here we go with the stun on 2-3. Lumi and 6 getting wiped out as OEG look to hold for the time being as so many more ultimates coming in. But look at Midstar prepping that Karmic Revival just in case anyone from OEG fall, but it looks like it's not even needed.
Bobo King with the Mega Hurricane, a little bit of a last-ditch effort, you know. By that point in time, like maybe 2-3 players from the side of Downpayment had fallen back into spawn, and perhaps they popped it in the sense that, okay, I'm thinking that maybe the rest of the team is going to come back because of the short respawn time, but never mind, we go again. Pressing the issue is going to be Lumi plus 6 with their ultimates. The Punisher looking to find some hit scan action. Fun. Breaks things open onto Little Vex. Groot is out of action and his cart is going along.
Yeah, we finally broke the 22-meter threshold as the rest of Downpayment doing what they did best in map number 1, pushing the objective, making sure no one gets out alive on the side of OEG. No survivors, no witnesses as they look to push forward.
In the midst of that chaos, it's beautiful flanks coming in from the likes of Fun as well as 6, you know, able to work these angles well, and already repositioning goes Lumi. The Luna Snow on this back end, I mean, this means that it's so hard to be able to work both fronts. Well, it's even better, at least for the side of OEG. They want to take the high ground back to themselves with a nice teleport onto the cart.
I like this positioning play coming in from Downpayment, the heads up to put themselves in a bit of an off angle in a way, as the Silent Seduction is just providing so much value for Downpayment as OEG just file in one by one, getting Silent Seduced into the hands of Downpayment, forced to go in because of that portal, but now it's just OEG on the back foot as Downpayment secured that first point.
Yeah, composition has changed for OEG. Just back to the 2-2-2, right? Wanting a little more damage, especially leg number 2 here has a lot more high ground to play around with. Real Estate Sentinel starting to abuse it, starting to, you know, get these pillars out of the way to open up the line of sight to provide more sparks onto Downpayment.
Bobo King pops the Omega Hurricane. He's gonna pop it, but the invisible boundary will be quick to trade. But Midstar somehow not so lucky. As Downpayment look for another opening pick. Donald now has the Meteor M6 with the final judgment. Kakai also with the Eternal Bond. OEG though have their own response with the Scrambling Prison and the Fate of Both Worlds as well. So again, we are waiting. We are setting up another domino effect as 6 will press Q first and will rain down hell onto OEG. But every one of OEG fighting back perfectly up into the high ground as Sui is the saving grace here, keeping everyone OEG from certain death. As everyone else, OEG doing their best to try to find a way, find their traction, find their footing, as 6 and Midstar will trade band for band, 1 for 1. As the rest of Downpayment, they just want to go in. Great Psionic Seduction to wipe out 2, but the trade as well. The speed just lighting up back and forth again as Midstar sneaking in, finding a pick here. But it looks like Downpayment need to look for some sort of regroup.
It's almost like a bit of a truce was called between those two teams, right? We've taken too much damage. Let's just leave each other alone. We'll back off and regroup for another day's fight as we go again. Ultimates, not too many online, but I'll be sure to call them out as they come in. High ground once again taken by OEG. We've already got the Strangling Prison online. Donald's got the Meteor and the Sparks flying galore. The positioning just wrapping around back onto his car. One pushing along the backline is now sustained by the beautiful Meteor M from Donald, finding heal out of action despite the invisible boundary being pushed up. Bobo King applying the pressure with the Dance of the Butterflies now coming into play, fighting Fab in the midst of it all. Sui falls, and OEG defenses crumble.
This is exactly what Downpayment wanted, right? Donald realizing that Yell's ultimate doesn't provide any bonus health to the team, so it's an easy pick for Donald as long as he's able to locate the invisible woman on OEG, and he was able to do so perfectly. I really thought OEG had a fighting chance there with the Strangling Prison, especially since Downpayment didn't have any strategist ultimates available, but here we go. Vex will open things up with a pick, and Midstar will do another as well.
I mean, beautiful, right? It almost looked like Little Vex, the group, was caught off guard with a bit nice hook from Six, but hey, the rest of OEG were able to follow up quickly to sustain Groot and provide that backing onto the likes of like Fun and Donald. Those two had to be backed off.
Oh, here we go. More offensive plays coming in from OEG, but Downpayment this time around have their own response as Bubble King takes out Fab, will take out Sentinel, a double for the Psylocke of Downpayment, and they look to keep the push going. Donald will find another on the Volvex. OEG falling apart one by one. Fate of both worlds. The dance also being popped, but Six is having none of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that Fate of both worlds, you know, like by that point in time, both your Vanguards had fallen back to spawn and popping it as a last-ditch effort, perhaps to drain time, knowing that Sumi will probably have Womo by the end of this team fight. Maybe the cause. We go again, right?
Here we go. There's the ultimates. Here we go. The Kraken Impact is available for Six. It looks like he realizes that the time is now, but a root wall will stall things out for a little bit, but Six is able to still find a pick on the hill. Bubble King and Fun join in on the action. And Downpayment looking to secure point number 3, but OEG, their spawn is quite literally right in front of this. We'll see how long it takes for them to get there. It looks like the end is nigh, but it looks like they're able to step foot onto the site. But
Not
no
just
more.
enough though. Once Midstar out, it was Groot just a tad away. A tendril too far from the cart to stall it any further. 20 seconds, 19 to be precise, left on the timer.
You'll need a top-notch team to
Yeah,
win
it just
this
feels
one.
like Downpayment. As soon as they get the opening pick, they just put the gas pedal right down onto the floor, and they give OEG almost no room to breathe. OEG, they have had good responses with their counter ultimates as well, but in the end, Downpayment looking like the better team here.
Yeah, I think back to these micro plays, especially on that third leg where, you know, OEG Esports on their defensive side were kind of trying to press onto the cart around that bottom of the ramp, but the Downpayment, especially led by the likes of Bobo King and Lumi, just exploded out of the corner, dashing in, getting eliminations after eliminations. It was beautiful. The team coordination is really singing at the highest of notes today.
Downpayment now on the defensive side. OEG, their turn on the offensive, but it looks like Downpayment looking to take Disguise, a different approach from what OEG did in the first part of the defense, straying away from the 3 Vanguard, 3 strategist setup, and Downpayment now using the verticality of this match.
Oh, but look at OEG, right? Not wanting to walk into those flames to give Bobo King a bit of an ultimate boost. Nay, they'd rather take through the Japanese halls and fight their way out through the back, taking the same high ground that he occupied on the first half. Donald tries to cut things off.
I like that.
To split up. No, the rest of the team, and does exactly that. Vex and Fab have zero support from their backlines and gets picked off by the strategists.
In theory, that was a great rotational play coming in from OEG, dodging the cover, dodging the slight high ground that Downpayment could have used, but why use high ground advantage when you have a torch, you have a Ultron just raining down from above? But in the end, but either way, OEG, I really did like that play coming in from them.
Not a bad idea, you know. Again, it all comes down to execution, which is the most important part. As right now, these two duelists / strategists just raining lasers and fires from the heavens onto the side of OEG, desperate to make an opening. Already the Rage of Ultron being countered quickly by this invisible boundary, obscuring all elements of sight. We'll have to ask the rest of Downpayment to back out for support.
Yeah, 6 realizing that doing damage is not going to do a whole lot. So just use the rest of the rage onto the bridge and try to prevent OEG from using any verticality, as the Strength in Prison is Pop Sui with the Spit Above Growth, but Lumi, the Doppelganger, is going to do the same as Midstar, trying to do as much damage as possible, waiting out these support ultimates, these strategist ultimates coming in as 6 is just gonna laser down Midstar. No chance of an Inferno here as Downpayment holding yet again.
Sentinel swapped over to the hit scan. That is the Punisher. And remember that first half, that was Downpayment's explosion into pushing the cart through. Already that final judgment online, hoping to be able to maybe find some sort of early pick against the Flyers in the sky. Donald is taking some early utility, but yes, here we go. It's gonna be the judge, jury, and executioner just shutting everybody down. Even the likes of the Meteor stand nothing against the Sentinel, taking name after name.
That's much better.
And that's all it took. OEG coming out swinging, coming out on top with the ultimate economy as well. All they needed was 2. Fab with the silent seduction. Sentinel comes in with the final judgment, and Downpayment just get wiped out. Donald couldn't even get the Meteor M down in time from the sheer amount of damage from that final judgment. As here we go, the OEG coming out on top, like we said, with the ultimate economy, are going to look to press the advantage even more.
OEG holding a very good offensive against that portal that came from the high ground. Right now it's just Downpayment being picked up one at a time. Dr. Strange float in. Well, with their backs turned, it's just too much to handle, as this first point will go under the control of OEG Esports. They're chugging along, they're making themselves a bit of a fight against Downpayment.
Yep, Desperation Portal from Donald. It goes flat, so he will switch over back to the Magneto as OEG. Looking better than what we saw in map number 1. It just looked like they didn't have any sort of control, any sort of momentum, but it looks like there is signs of life here until Bubble King shuts it down.
I mean, we talk about just the explosiveness of aggression that can come from a greatly positioned Human Torch. What am I saying? I'm just so enthralled by how OEG are bringing the fight at the moment. They're making it hurt for Downpayment, and they're gonna have to try and figure out what is up next. Rage of Ultron might be that.
Yeah, Rage of Ultron, Supernova also popped by Bubble King. Look at the Inferno. The tornadoes coming in, just zoning away OEG, and they will respect the control coming in by Bubble King. OEG look to regroup, but it's still gonna bleed out time on the clock. 2 minutes left for OEG.
The Rage of Ultron's silent seduction is just the 2 disco ballrooms around this corner. The Meteor still finds Sentinel, a crucial one, out of the mix as well, because they had seconds away from their own ultimate. Looks like Downpayment are fighting back. It looked like a bit of a weird supernova coming from Bubble King, but now revenge is on their mind, wants to push the rest of OEG back into their spawn.
That was a great Meteor coming from Donald. Finds a way to get onto Sentinel right before the final judgment is online, but should they have waited a little bit longer? Should they have waited for Sentinel to actually press the Q button? Because right now OEG looking on top with the ultimate economy, as Sentinel will finally press Q, but what's the response coming in from Downpayment? Kakai will use the invisible boundary. Fun will find Sentinel through the final judgment, through the defenses of OEG as they look to stunt OEG's offense as the silent seduction. They don't want them to run away. Sentinel, though, has respawned and will find Bubble King. Donald, though, will trade away 1 for 1 as Downpayment still looking to hold, but there's 1 minute left on the clock.
1 minute left. They have to work this. Less than that, 40 seconds. And it's going to be a last Hail Mary effort from the side of OEG. They need to press this, need to get this dub. They've burned their, final judgment that couldn't really find the momentum that they needed. So it's going to be like Sui with the fate of both worlds to come in. Here comes the Supernova, just able to maybe dice off Hiel from the rest
wait,
of
the
this
Strangling
back
Prison
line. Never
available.
mind. 6 dropping by Little Vix.
The Strangling Prison, I think, just went wide as the Meteor also
ready to
not
put on a
quite
show.
finishing off the members of OEG. And like you said, this is a Hail Mary attempt, but Lumi is threatening with that strategist ultimate. A great pull onto Fab. Fab is gone. Fab is out. And will they be out from the rest of the series as OEG are not looking so good right now as Downpayment.
1, 2, 3.
Down go OEG as Downpayment look to take over 2-0.
Clean and easy. 2 down payments made for the down payment team. They're cashing in their victories finally here on day 4 of week 1. And it must feel so good when, you know, you have an all-star roster playing synergistically with each other, the flow, the ebb, and it's just vibes on vibes right now here in the server.
Oh yeah, Downpayment looking so much better than their first matchup against Gen G. Gen G arguably was a very difficult matchup on paper, but now Downpayment taking down the likes of OEG, it's gonna make them feel good. And if you look at the result coming in on Group B, it's now so much closer.
Yeah, you know, it's the point difference is impeccable. I mean, looking at these statistics as well from Downpayment, obviously MVP going to Bobo King, 31, you know, knockouts totally matching a lot of other players that are close by. Fun with 31 themselves, Donald 27, 6 with 30. I mean, they're fragging out here in the servers, be it on the floor or in the skies. But, you know, it's going to be Bobo King leading the charge here with 13 final hits. That is superb from this in-house Human Torch.
Yeah, Bobo King, we've seen him play in Stage 1 before under the banner of Rival Esports. Although Rival Esports did not do so hot in their showing in Stage 1, Bobo King was still their shining light. And now with Bobo King joining the likes of Oceanic Talent as well as others from other regions, Downpayment are looking to rely on this Human Torch player, this duelist player of Downpayment, as they do take over OEG with a 2-0 fashion.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the likes of OEG, I felt like there were some moments where their ultimate usage was a bit off. You know, the replays kind of just also looked at Sui popping the Fate of Both Worlds at a questionable moment at that point in time. On that third leg, you know, it was perhaps both Vanguards, I definitely believe it was both Vanguards out of action, and perhaps could have saved them from giving the likes of Downpayment a third point. But, you know, on their offensive, OEG couldn't even make it into the third leg. So, I mean, maybe that didn't really matter at the end of it all.
Yeah, although OEG, we did see why they picked Spider Islands for map number 2, especially when they were on the attacking side. We saw that little bit of a rotational play, trying to dodge as much of the firepower from Downpayment as possible. And if you take a look at Spider Islands, that's just where most of these teams, at least Incipients, when we saw them play Spider Islands in that opening match here in the Ignite Stage 2, that area is just so hard to get through, and maybe some teams are gonna pick that up here.
Yep. And you know, that's very interesting ideas coming out from OEG, and from an individual point of view as well. You know, I'm gonna call it Little Vex. Groot, 73,000 damage points blocked. I mean, that is a statistic unmatched across the next closest Vanguard to meet second place basically in terms of damage block was 46k. That is a humongous difference in terms of how much kind of space and absorption Little Vex was trying to be for the likes of OEG, but unfortunately it wasn't quite capitalized upon. You know, it's just Downpayment were able to focus fire in the right spots at the right time and get their picks done and dusted.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a number that high before, or at least here in the highest level. one day we'll see a number hit the 6 digits. That's probably that's all we could wish for, right? You want to see a star level performance, but star level performance is cool and all, but what's scarier, we will touch up on it if it does happen, is if these numbers are similar to each other. You know you're cooked.
Yeah, which is precisely the side of down payment, right? I mean, the elimination count on 4 out of 6 of their players, basically, apart from the strategists, were all in the 30s or close to it, and that really meant that they were playing on par with each other. You know, the likes of Six able to support from that first time on that Psylocke, then obviously having been targeted banned again, Phoenix on domination, then the targeted ban from OEG against the Phoenix, swapping off to the Ultra, making quick work around that is so important as a backline strategist that applies that pressure. And so they were, they may not have run that triple, but they were able to still do a very, very commending win on Spider Islands.
And we are getting word that we will be joining in an interview with Donald from Downpayment, the team beating out OEG today. And we will be joining him in a few moments' time. And honestly, just great plays coming in from Downpayment as Donald finally joining us here. How are we feeling, Donald?
How we going, boys? I'm feeling great.
Beautiful. I mean, it's so great to look at Downpayment come out from a bit of an L from their first series into a solid dub here against OEG Esports. We talk about your roster being this star-studded kind of collective of multiple nationalities, cultures from different teams. Was it easy for Downpayment to come together to work synergistically?
Oh man, it's very, very difficult. I'm the only native English speaker, and I mean the only person who isn't multilingual, I suppose. So we try and come in English, and the guys try really hard, and they're significantly better at it than you'd expect. But yeah, we still have a lot of mess ups with it, I suppose. But we're still a relatively new team as well. So as we continue, we're doing better. Yeah, figuring it out.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to see. And I just want to ask, coming in, this is your second best of 3. You did take a loss against Gen G. Was there anything that you took away from that matchup when you prepared for today's matchup against OEG?
Yeah, there's a lot of no's being said for when we make plays. Our last game. So we have tried to work on that as much as you can in a day, I suppose. But yeah, we'll it's we'll keep getting better. It'll first game, everybody's nervous, as well as those guys being pretty good. So yeah, it's tough.
Understandable, Donald. I mean, I love the honesty, and this first time jitters can really get to you. Last question before we let you go and enjoy the celebrations with your team. You'll be kicking things off to next week on day 1, week 2 against Zero Tenacity, one of the few teams here to bring up an upset against Rejects. Are you kind of ready to face them head on?
Oh man, we're in the bracket of death. All of these teams are so strong. I think I'm thinking that the new meta, because we have less scrim time than them, the patch has changed, so the disparity of time put in is different now, not as massive anymore. So I think if there's any chance we're gonna beat them, it's on this patch, and I'll pull out the Angela, we'll be right.
Yeah, we're gonna be excited to see you guys in the turn of the new meta. Thank you, Donald, for joining us. Go celebrate with the team, and we hope to see you soon.
Will do.
Oh, I love the honesty, Dan.